Hey and welcome. It is so cool. We can connect right now wherever you are in the world. We just want to say we appreciate you and thank you for clicking on this video. Whether you're a first-time viewer or you're part of our community, we are so thankful and we're so glad to hear about all the amazing stories and the joy that's coming through this season. Although it's different, although we're in lockdown, there is amazing stories and God's doing some great things in our lives and our community. You know, if you're here for the first time and you might just be randomly on this video, I just wanted to share about what our church believes. And, you know, a lot of times churches have got the wrong idea that the church is seeking a community of what the community can do for it or what it can do to believe in it. But I want to say that here at Coastside, we believe, and our motto is, what can we actually do for you? And we're here for our community. We're here to care for you where you're at, and we're here to serve, love, and support our own community. It's not about what you can do for us. It's always been what we can do for you. You know, Jesus did this, and this is the belief system we follow. We follow Jesus Christ, and Jesus always taught us to pray and serve and look after our circles. And you might not be a part of our circle just yet. You might be, you know, curious or looking around for God or looking for something in this season. But can I say you're always welcome to join our circle here at Coastside. And there's always a space for you to be a part of what we do. You know, last week we did Missed But Not Missing Part 1. And we just had so many testimonies. We had a lot of stories come in and a lot of amazing things that happened. And I just wanted to read you some of these. It's so amazing. One testimony we had here was a lady that Kirsty and I know. She's a beautiful woman, you know, been a part of our life in one form or another. She was inspired by the message and even got bunches of flowers and wrote notes to all the neighbors and just encouraged them in that season. You know, Kirsty and I even had flowers dropped off and homemade cookies. And we just had a bunch of these amazing stories of people getting phone calls and messages and just spreading the joy in this season. And can I say, keep doing that. Although, like I said last week, although we are missed, although we're not together, our mission is definitely not missing. And so I wanted to encourage those that are spreading the joy in this season, keep it up, keep praying for your neighbors, and keep doing good in your communities. You know, tonight I'm excited. I'm going to be preaching Missed But Not Missing Part 2. And the whole thing I want to unpack, if I can just borrow a couple of minutes of your time, the whole thing I want to unpack is our self-worth, what we are worth in this season. And last week I said we're missed but not missing in our purpose. And this week I want to talk about missed, not together, but our worth is certainly, let me say that, our worth is certainly not missing. You know, I want to kickstart off tonight, just diving into the scriptures straight off the bat. I want to read you this verse, and I want you to think about it. And you don't have to be a believer to understand this. You can be, you know, someone that's just curious or someone that's just watching this. This isn't just for church followers or Christians. But it says here in Romans 5:8, I want to read you this verse. But God shows his love for us, that even while we were still sinners, while we still made mistakes, while we still got it wrong, that even though that happened, Christ died for us. And I want to just highlight this for you tonight. But God shows his love, not shows his love on condition, not shows his love because you're a Christian or, you know, you need to be one. Christ showed his love while we were still in our mess, while we still felt unworthy, while we still felt lost. He showed us his love by sending his son, Jesus Christ, to pay the price that we didn't deserve. And you know, I had to chuck that in tonight just to kickstart this series because although we are missed, although we are not together, our worth is not missing. Just because we don't attend church and just because we aren't doing our daily routine means our worth has been dropped lower, means our worth has been, you know, taken off us. This season we're in, God's worth, it says here, I love it, even though we were still sinners, even though we might have not done anything, even though we might have found ourselves lost, even while we were there, God loved us. And I don't know if I'm speaking to someone tonight, I'm encouraging you that even though you're at home or even though you're not part of your routine, even though the things you love are missed, that the love of Christ, that God's love for you is not missing, that your value is not missing, that your worth is not missing. You know, you're probably wondering why I'm speaking about this on part 2, and it's something that challenged me. And I noticed this in my own life, and I'm like, God, I need your help in this, because when we become isolated, when we become alone, there's this aspect of more time to think about things. And I wrote down some list of things that I had to face in this season. And one of the things that happen when we're separated or we're out of our normal lives is we start to think more than we usually do. And one of the things I had here was we start to think more about our flaws. We start to notice more about our flaws in seasons when we're out of routine. Sometimes we start to rethink our mistakes. We start to, kind of think we wish we could change the past, and we kind of revisit our mistakes, and it kind of takes away our self-worth. Sometimes we're even in a lockdown, or we're in, whatever we're in right now this season, and we start to really hone in on and take focus of our life circumstance. And I don't mean that in like our life circumstances in a good way, but we start to notice the negative things in our life circumstance. We also start to take notice of our health. And we start to be, feeling like we've lost wealth because we're facing, health in our lives. We're facing, sickness or whatever it is. And we start to feel like we're less worthy. And one of the other most important things we do when we're in this disrupted routine and we're missed, that we start to realize that, sometimes we don't have good friend groups, or maybe we're having fights or we're not getting along with our family. And all of a sudden, all this stuff starts to build up on our lives. It starts to get really heavy. And even though, like I said, we're missed, we start to think that our purpose, our worth is also missing. And I'm here today to say to you that there's good news, that God said, though we were in our sin, though we were lost, though we were found in our flaws where we were, He loved us so much before we got it right, before we had it together, before all these things were good. And I know right now you're probably sitting at home and you might be a believer, you might not be a believer. But either way, there's a point of time when we're missed, when our routine's disrupted, we find ourselves thinking about these things. We think about our flaws, we think about our mistakes, we think about our life circumstances, we think about our health, we think about our friend groups, our family, our workplace. We think of a bunch of things. Because more than ever, we have the time to think about it. And I want to encourage you not to get too deep into this, because here's the problem. We get to this point where we start to evaluate ourselves in a new light. When we're not so busy, when we've actually stopped, we start to notice ourselves in a new light. And tonight I'm encouraging you that I want to encourage you to look through the lens of God and what He thinks about you in this season. You are so loved. And I'm not just saying this because, there's a God up there and God, loves the whole world, that He sent His own Son. I'm saying this from us right now, Coastside Church, to you, wherever you are listening on podcast or watching at home or wherever you are. You don't have to be a believer. You don't have to have it all together. You are so loved. You are so worthy. You are, you might be facing some things right now in your lounge. You might be facing some things during this lockdown, but can I just encourage you? You are so loved. You are so worthy. These things, these seasons do not subtract from your worth. Your worth is there. It stays there. Your worth is with you. I keep saying this. You don't have to be a believer or not. And the reason why I say this is because this is something we all face. Worthiness doesn't just come from God. It basically is 100% what we are because God created us. And I wanted to just highlight this for a second. That God loves you. That He actually thinks the most of you. That He actually paid the price for you. That He thinks about you daily. And that right now in this season, although, like I said, you're a believer or not, He is proud of you. That's got to be something you got to kind of think about when we're feeling like we're not worthy, when we're feeling like we've lost the plot, when we feel like we're missed. Can I encourage you tonight that our worthiness, our worth is not missing? We can be missed, but our worthiness is not missing. And you're probably thinking, is he talking to me? Is he? Yeah, I'm talking to you. People are like, oh, you don't know what I've done. You don't know what I'm thinking about. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I'm in. Can I say, it doesn't matter. God says before we had it right, before it was all done and whatever the checklist was for being a Christ follower, before that, He loved us so much that we were worthy enough to pay the price. I reached out to God. I'm like, all right, part 2, we're missed. Our worthiness is not missing. And I wanted to give some practical steps for you. And I'll say this again. You don't have to be a believer to belong. You don't have to be a Christian to apply these to your life. You can be someone that's curious, open, or looking for another part of your life to be, accelerated by joy and hope and peace and faith. And that's what we believe here. And so I wrote down some practical things. These are for non-believers and these are for believers. You don't have to be in one category or other. These things can apply to your life. And the first one I've got here, and you can write these down if you want to remember them later. But the first thing to get yourself in the mind frame of what your worth is. And you can focus on this and get you through this season of maybe feeling worthless or maybe feeling like you're not going to make it. These are some practical steps to take. Number one is, and I know this sounds cliche, but it works for my life. Focus on the good things in your life. We all have them. I often talk to, people when they come into my path and we're talking about focusing on the good things. And I always say to people, the good things in our lives are kind of like a white t-shirt. That although we have a white t-shirt on, we only ever notice the stain. It's like we're focused on the stain of our t-shirt. It's like we're stuck and fixated on the stain, but we forget about the white shirt. And I want to encourage you now, focus on the good in your life. Don't focus on the stain. The white t-shirt is what is important. We get so caught up in focusing on the stain that we miss the white t-shirt. And I want to encourage you now, just seek one thing. Just think of one thing that you can focus on. When you wake up in the morning, focus on that. It might be you have lungs, you have air in your lungs. It might be, you've got someone that loves you. You might be like, someone's text you. You've got to look for the good things. You look for the good things and you find your worth. Don't focus on the stain. Remember, there's a white t-shirt. Focus on the good things in your life. Like I said, I know it sounds cliche, but it helps. Try it. Try it tomorrow morning. Wake up. Say, I'm going to be thankful or focus on one thing today. Whether that's the fact that I'm healthy, whether that's the fact I've got a partner that loves me, whether that's the fact you've got kids at home, whether it's the fact you've got a roof over your head, whatever it is, focus on the good thing. Number two, and I wrote this down, so I have to say it again because this is crazy to me, and I think this concept will really help people discover God more. And so whether you're a believer or not, wake up every morning and just try it. Just trial it for a week. I'm not saying like you have to be full on like, I'm like sold out for Christ and I'm looking for God and I'm all good, I'm a Christian. You can maybe not even be a Christian. You might be just someone just watching this randomly. I want to say this really clearly. Just try it. Just try it for a week. When you wake up, and don't make it weird. Don't be like, I've got to pray. Just wake up and say, God, I'm thankful for this day. Now, I know my community of believers will go, yeah, I can do that. It's easy. But those that haven't done that before, try it. Just wake up. You don't have to tell anyone. Just wake up and say, God, I'm thankful today. God, I'm thankful that you're going to go before me today. I'm thankful that you're going to walk beside me today. You'll be surprised the power that's released on your life when you appreciate the one that created you. You'll start to feel self-worth when you thank. And you don't have to believe, but when you thank something or someone that put you in the very existence and loved you before you knew it. The Bible actually says you were already thought of and he loved you when you were getting knitted in your mother's womb that long ago. Not even before your friends and family knew you. He knew you. Try it. You don't have to believe. You just have to say, God, maybe that's your first step of believing. God, thank you for today. Thank you for going before me. Thank you for walking beside me. And then you can just go on with your life and pretend it never happened. But just try it. See what happens. Number three, practical, something you can try right now in your house, wherever you are, is remind others of their self-worth. Now, I know this message is, about being missed, but our worth is not missing. And sometimes it's like, hang on, you're talking about my worth. I just want to tell you something that's crazy. And this is something that changed my life. You'll be shocked by the worth you find in yourself when you bring out the worth in others. Like, can I encourage you today? Focus on this in your family or just on the phone or just when you run into people on the service station or when you go out for those small moments. Compliment them, uplift them, give them an encouragement. Say that they're doing well, they're looking good. Give them their self-worth. When you encourage people with their self-worth, you'll be surprised the exchange of self-worth you find in your own life. It's an incredible thing. It's like that whole concept of giving a gift to someone and you felt like you received a gift yourself. One of the most practical things you can do right now, if you're struggling with self-worth, or you forgot that even though we're missing, even though we're missed, even though we're not doing the normal routine, that we might feel like our worth is missing, or we're not doing God's work, or we haven't even, felt like we're even made for this, or we can't get through this, send someone else a message and say, hey, you're awesome, you're worthy, you're doing so good. Encourage someone and compliment them, uplift them in their worth, and you will receive worth. You'll be so surprised at the foundation of worth that's built in your life when you encourage others to build theirs. So although we're missed, our worth is not missing. The love that God has for you, believe it or not, has not gone missing. His plans and purposes have not gone missing. Our routine might have changed. Our schedules might have changed. Our way of life might have changed, but our worth never changed. The love for us that He has for us never changed. And just before I close tonight, I want to encourage you. Just try those practical things. Wake up and focus on the good things. It could just be anything. That you got food on the table. Pray. Like I said, believe it or not, pray. Just sneakily get out of bed and say, hey, God, thanks for this day. Thanks for going before me. And 3, build other people's worth up. You'll be surprised the worth you find in yourself. I'm going to close. Before I do that, I know that sometimes people have probably got more questions about this, and we're going to explore this more. This is only part 2. We're doing a full series of this, missed but not missing. And I just want to encourage you that there's a place for everyone. It doesn't matter your belief system. It doesn't matter, where you've come from, where you've been brought up, or, where you're watching the world right now. There's a place for you in God's heart. There's a place for you in what we do here. And I want to encourage you, if you're new to this whole thing or you want to know more, you can download our app. It's called the Coastside Church app. You can find it on the AppStore or GooglePlay. And you can go there, and there's a free Bible at the bottom. And at the Bible, you can look up the New Testament. And you can start to read the New Testament about, what Jesus did on earth and why we do this whole thing and what He believes in. Because, most of it will highlight pretty quickly that He loved you so much. And He always had a way for the sinners. He always had a way for the broken. He always had a way for those that had blown it or not got it right to find hope and faith and peace in Him. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why even though we're missed, we're not missing, because we know the very message of Christ and how much He loved us in whatever season we found ourselves. So I want to encourage you, if you're looking more into that, just get the app, look at the Bible, and we'll be able to, help you go through that. You can ask questions on it. We have a chat in the corner. And then maybe one day you can come visit us here in Port Macquarie. You can come from a local community and we can host you and serve you and have you part of one of our live services. But for this season, just start with the New Testament and find out what Jesus thinks about you, because it's incredible. He loves you so much. You're so worthy to Him. You're so amazing to Him. Well, that's it for me. I want to encourage you. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for staying strong in this season. I know that God's still doing wonderful things, and I can't wait for part 3. I'm sure there's going to be more stories and more testimonies that come out of this. But never forget, although we are missed, our worth has never gone missing. And your life is so loved, no matter what season you find yourself in. And that's so good. Well, thanks for joining us. I'll see you soon. Don't forget to like our socials. Don't forget, if you want to support our vision, there is a donate link down below. You can support what we do here and help us get the word out more as we navigate this season. But we appreciate you. We love you. And we'll see you soon. Bye.